Welcome to Naked History. You're listening to Unearthed.
Machu Picchu, an ancient abandoned city in the clouds. The jewel of a long-lost civilization. The Incas. The true purpose of this site has been a mystery for centuries. But today, investigators are making new discoveries that change our understanding of Machu Picchu.
Every day is different in Machu Picchu. Every minute is different in Machu Picchu.
Their breakthroughs are rewriting the history of these enigmatic ruins.
I think we're still really at the very beginning of learning about it.
Now, archaeologists believe they're on the verge of cracking hidden messages the Incas left behind.
If we could understand this code, imagine what we could learn about the Incas.
To solve the mysteries of Machu Picchu, we'll pull apart this city, stone by stone. We'll dive deep through its walls and temples to unearth the astonishing secrets that lie at the heart of this forgotten wonder. Machu Picchu in Peru. Lost for centuries, beautiful and awe-inspiring. Modern archaeologists discovered these enigmatic ruins more than 100 years ago. Today, new ideas are coming to light, which could change our understanding of why Machu Picchu is here.
If you think about the effort and the skills that the Incas must have had in order to build something like this in this exact spot, makes it almost unbelievable.
The ruins are perched along a perilous ridge between two prominent mountain peaks. Stepped stone terraces cling to the steep mountainside. Machu Picchu's near pristine stone buildings are packed full of ancient Inca technology. A mysterious curved building stands out in the geometric cityscape. Why is it so different from the buildings around it? What was the purpose of this city in the clouds? There are many theories, from a royal palace to a trading hub. Jose Bastante is Machu Picchu's chief archaeologist. He believes the answer lies in the buildings themselves and is uncovering evidence that tells a different story.
Most of the things going on in Machu Picchu are related to the ceremonial part.
Teams of archaeologists are investigating every structure at Machu Picchu. And they're discovering that many of the buildings seem to align with the movements of the sun. Could they be linked to the Inca religion?
The sun is the most important deity of the Incas.
Jose thinks many of the structures here are dedicated to the sun. One of the most intriguing is the curious building with the unique curved sides. Stripping away these walls reveals a vast granite block. Beneath this finely polished rocky outcrop, a small room with mysterious niches in the walls. Some of the finest Inca masonry at Machu Picchu forms the temple's curved sides. And a mysterious groove in the polished rock aligns with the rising sun on the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. Archaeologists think that this strange building could be a temple to mark the sacred cycles of the sun. Jose believes this temple isn't the only structure to look to the skies. This strange stone sticking out of the bedrock is known as the Intihuatana. Did this peculiar stone also perform a religious function? Today is one of the most important solar events in the Inca calendar, the equinox, which marks a change in the seasons. On most days of the year, the Intihuatana stone and everything around it, including people, casts a shadow. But on the equinox, as the sun reaches noon, something strange happens. The Intihuatana stone's shadow disappears. Was it designed to mark this special day?
Because of the particular shape and angles of this lithic sculpture that we call Intihuatana, that is actually an altar, there's no shadow cast during the equinoxes.
So how did they do it? All along the equator, on the equinox, the sun passes directly overhead, causing shadows on the ground to practically vanish. But Machu Picchu is 13 degrees south of the equator, where the sun is not overhead. To mark this special day, the Incas must have sculpted the rock to lean at precisely 13 degrees, so that it points directly at the sun. These structures seem to suggest that Machu Picchu is a Vatican city in the clouds, a place where the Inca could interact with their most important god, the sun. Did the Incas choose this site high in the mountains to get a better view of the sky? It's a tempting theory, but there's a problem. Machu Picchu is regularly shrouded in cloud, so why build a temple complex to the sun here? Jose believes a brand new discovery helps to explain why the Incas built their solar observatory in such a challenging environment.
This huge rocky outcrop that resembles a mountain is a shrine.
This Inca shrine has concealed its secrets for decades.
What they didn't realize is that there was something else over here that they didn't notice, and we have just found.
Hiding in plain sight, Jose has uncovered artwork.
What we're seeing is traditionally called rock art, but in the Andes, this is a quilca.
Jose doesn't think this rock art, or quilca, was made by the Incas and could be centuries older.
These graphic motifs have no relationship whatsoever with the Inca civilization during 15th and 16th century.
Machu Picchu mountain may have been sacred for thousands of years, long before the Incas.
This is an evidence of presence of pre-Inca people in the area. We are talking about between 800 to 1200 AD.
Now, archaeologists believe this mysterious painting might be a clue to why the Incas were drawn to this remote site.
What we're proposing is that this place was considered as sacred even before the Incas. The Incas just arrived and realized the sacredness of the place.
Jose believes Machu Picchu was built here because it was already a sacred site, with an ancient connection to the gods. But did the Incas build Machu Picchu simply to worship their gods? Or is there another explanation for the city's construction? Could the answer be locked away inside the skeletons of Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu is one of the most jaw-dropping sights in the world. Each year, this ancient wonder attracts nearly 1 million visitors. But the purpose of Machu Picchu has always been a mystery. Some archaeologists believe it's a religious site, but there are enough houses for more than 500 people. Why were these people here? And what did they do?
I think we're still really at the very beginning of learning about it. In terms of what daily life was like, we're just scratching the surface.
Beyond the impressive temples and religious structures, there are many practical buildings. More than 140 houses were home to the people that lived here. But who were they? Archaeologists searching for clues on the slopes below the houses have uncovered a gruesome surprise. More than 170 skeletons litter the landscape in makeshift tombs covered with boulders. Could these human remains hold clues to why Machu Picchu was built? Today, the skeletons lie in the Peruvian city of Cusco, the Inca capital. Richard Berger and Lucy Salazar are examining the bones found at Machu Picchu. Some of the skeletons have deformities, including strange elongated skulls. Could these provide another clue to why Machu Picchu was built?
This is a Cusqueño woman living in Machu Picchu. She's very old, probably between 55 and 60 years old. In this case, is another woman, younger, of age is between 20 and 30.
Richard and Lucy measure the shape of the skulls.
So here you have 17 centimeters.
This intriguing shape is not a natural deformity. Some ancient Peruvian communities would bind cloth around their children's heads to change the shape of their skulls and make them look taller. But not every skull has been deformed in the same way, or at all. Richard believes Machu Picchu was a melting pot of different cultures, disparate people from across the empire living side by side in one remote place.
The crania of these skeletons had a variety of cranial deformations. And since cranial deformation in ancient Peru was often a marker of ethnicity, it implied that the skeletons came from different geographical areas.
Richard needs further evidence to prove his theory, so he analyzes the bones at an atomic level.
There are various kinds of atomic structures of most elements. Different plants will absorb different proportions of these. And then when a human eats them, this will be reflected in their bone composition.
By measuring chemical traces in the bones, Richard can work out what these Incas were eating when they were alive.
Usually, in a single community, there'll be only a small amount of variation. What we found was that there was a high degree of variability in the readings. These people had had quite different diets during their lifetimes. These people had come from different areas.
Richard believes only one person had the power to assemble such a cosmopolitan community: the Inca Emperor. Rather than being built for religious purposes, Richard believes Machu Picchu was mainly a royal residence. Today, he's searching the site for evidence of the emperor's presence.
We believe that the emperor would have lived here, the Sapa Inca. It's very often referred to as the house of the Inca.
This house is separate from other buildings on the site and has many luxuries found nowhere else in the city.
It's the only one that seems to have a bathroom, with all the fresh water coming down from the spring that hasn't been in any way tampered with by others. I think the fact that the emperor's house was next to the Temple of the Sun suggests that sacred character of the emperor and everything he did.
But if Machu Picchu is a royal palace, where are the remains of the great emperor that once lived here? Inca burials reveal a lot about the social status of the deceased. High-class people were buried alongside riches and metal objects like gold. The most important Incas, the emperors, were even mummified and paraded on special occasions. But at Machu Picchu, archaeologists find far simpler burials in caves. Most of the skeletons at Machu Picchu are buried with goods that link them to lower status jobs, like a cook's pot or the remains of a shepherd's llama. If there's no evidence of an emperor's burial or mummy at Machu Picchu, did he ever live here? Richard believes Machu Picchu was built as a second home for the emperor, a place to relax far away from the Inca capital at Cusco.
I described it once as a Camp David because we know the stresses of being in charge of an empire, and just by analogy to other countries like the United States, the leader needs to get away and relax every now and then. I would imagine that, he could have come here once every year for a few weeks.
Was Machu Picchu an Inca Camp David? A place for the emperor to relax and get away from it all. If it was, the Incas faced an incredible challenge, building a palace fit for a king here. Machu Picchu sits across two fault lines, experiencing dozens of earthquakes and hundreds of landslides every year. How did the Incas build a second home for the emperor in such a hostile place? Could these mysterious objects conceal ancient messages from the Incas themselves? Machu Picchu is an extraordinary feat of ancient engineering. It soars almost 8,000 feet above sea level, wedged on a ridge between two mountains. Earthquakes, landslides, and floods ravage the area. It looks like the most impossible place for a city to exist. But Machu Picchu is still standing, How did the Incas build a city to survive the centuries with only Stone Age technology?
Edificar una yacta como estas es un desafío.
The clues are hiding in the building blocks of Machu Picchu. The hundreds of Inca buildings that crown the steep mountaintop are made from thousands of super tough granite blocks. Blowing the buildings apart reveals that no two blocks are the same, but these dry stone walls appear neat and straight. The weird angles and asymmetrical stones slot together perfectly. But why did the Incas use such strange-shaped building blocks? Fernando Astete is the site's director and has been studying Machu Picchu for 30 years. He knows every stone here and thinks the answer to why there's such strange shapes lies just above the city's center, in a quarry. Because granite is so tough, Fernando thinks the Incas would chip away at natural weak points and work with the natural shape of the rock rather than force the stone into regular bricks. But uneven blocks come with their own challenges. If these stones were simply stacked, the oddly shaped blocks would have formed unstable walls. So the Incas must have carefully matched and pounded each stone according to the exact shape of its neighbors. During an earthquake, the stones are free to bounce around before settling back into their perfect position. It's a great theory, but granite is incredibly strong and difficult to work. Most stone tools would break against its tough surface. How did the Incas shape this rock with such precision that in many places you can't fit a razor blade between the stones? Fernando believes the key to Machu Picchu's meticulous construction can be found lying on the ground, a heavy iron-rich rock called hematite, a natural iron hammer. Fernando's experiments show that the Incas could use hematite to shape the tough granite blocks with great precision. But it was slow work. Fernando believes Machu Picchu was only possible because the mountains themselves are natural quarries of earthquake-proof granite. The Incas found all the materials to build a city of houses and exquisite temples right here. But living on a mountaintop is hard. Sheer cliffs surround the site on three sides. There are no fields to plow. How did the people of Machu Picchu survive in such a remote location?
The limited quantity of water, the difficult access. Of course, it's a very difficult area to work.
The Incas surrounded Machu Picchu with terraces to stabilize the hillside and create foundations for buildings. Inside these stepped structures, there's a surprising level of complex Inca technology. The Incas carefully laid distinct layers of gravel and stones of different sizes throughout every terrace. But what were these layers for? A clue rests on top, a flat layer of fine soil that can't be washed away. Could these thin strips also be the fields that fed a city? A clue lies in the layout of Machu Picchu. One half is filled with temples and houses. The other has virtually no buildings at all. These empty terraces look like foundations for buildings, but Chief Archaeologist Jose Bastante believes this slope is the Inca solution to farming.
In this part, in the agricultural sector of Machu Picchu, there's no issue with water infiltration or water coming out.
Jose believes the multiple layers of rock inside these terraces allowed water to drain through without disrupting the topsoil, providing a stable platform for crops. But to live on this rocky mountaintop, the Inca also needed a constant clean supply of drinking water and sacred water for rituals.
If we didn't have a spring, there's no life.
The Incas found a natural spring here, which they considered sacred, a gift from the mountain. But how could this small spring serve a whole city? This surprising freshwater source comes from rainwater. It filters through the fractures in the rock and erupts in springs along the mountainside. The Incas built stone channels into the terraces, which delivered running water from the mountain spring to 16 fountains across the city.
The water that we see here, it's coming from a spring more than 700 meters away. It was channeled by the Incas crosses all the agricultural area of Machu Picchu and enters the urban area. This water is used for drinking, for cooking, and also for ceremonial purposes.
The Inca engineered a clever solution to bring this sacred water to the urban sector of Machu Picchu. But this Inca masonry is vulnerable. In a landscape ravaged by earthquakes, any damage to these water channels could flood the sacred buildings around them.
We have the part of the channel on the urban sector that the Incas cannot afford water infiltration because that will affect the structures in one of the most important sectors, that is the Temple of the Sun area.
How did the Incas ensure this channel never leaked? Jose thinks these strangely carved blocks scattered around the site could hold a clue.
These stones have been always here, and it has always been a mystery why they were for. There have been many theories, but finally we have figured it out.
This smooth channel appears to be designed to carry water.
What we're doing here is we're remeasuring them to see where will they eventually go.
Jose believes these carved channels were designed to carry water, but not here.
We measure the length of all of them, and we measure the length of the part of the channel that is already inside the urban sector, and it basically matches the length required. Now we know that these granite stones, we're going to replace the part of the channel that is inside the urban sector of Machu Picchu.
If an earthquake damaged the crucial urban water channel, replacement stones could easily snap into place around the temples. The Incas had a new set of stones ready to go. This brand new discovery is evidence that the Incas were maintaining and improving Machu Picchu all the time. Through effective water management, the Incas could keep their population alive and protect their sacred buildings. But there's another unsolved mystery. Recently, some archaeologists have calculated that the 500 or more inhabitants of this mountain city couldn't survive on the food and water here alone. Machu Picchu must have relied on imports. But how did the supplies get here? After all, the city is famous for its isolation, cut off by sheer cliffs, steep mountains, and thick forest. Is new evidence about to turn everything we thought we knew about Machu Picchu on its head? Machu Picchu appears to be cut off from the outside world. The Incas engineered complex structures to feed the people that lived here. But archaeologists don't think Machu Picchu would have produced enough food to keep the whole population alive. The Incas must have also brought food to this isolated mountaintop. But from where? Jose thinks there are clues all across the site.
The archaeological evidence that we're getting are giving us a much more complex idea of what Machu Picchu functions were during its short lifetime.
Hidden behind Machu Picchu's main gate stands a mysterious building. Most Inca houses were single-story, but archaeological evidence suggests this tall structure carried a second floor. These walls once supported rows of giant wooden beams, steeply angled to create a high roof covered with thatch. Investigators believe this was a massive industrial storehouse for imported food. But if it was, where did the supplies come from? And how did they get here? Jose Bastante is convinced that Machu Picchu was kept alive thanks to a vast network of roads, connecting it to the farms of the wider empire. And he thinks evidence of these roads could still exist today.
We're still discovering new Inca roads within the sanctuary borders.
To find these roads, Jose looks for unusual entrances around the edges of Machu Picchu that don't appear to lead anywhere. Like this staircase.
This staircase was always a mystery where we didn't know really where it was coming from, but recently we just figured it out. We found the road. The only issue is that the road has collapsed at certain points, so we cannot follow it completely.
Today, Jose's team is investigating a newly discovered trail. He believes this is the first time this road has been explored for centuries.
Next to Machu Picchu City, we have probably found all the roads. But in the area, there's still many roads to be found, lost in the vegetation.
So far, archaeologists have uncovered a web of 8 roads leading into Machu Picchu. These probably brought supplies to the people who lived here. But Jose believes they may also explain another key reason why Machu Picchu was built here in the first place.
Machu Picchu is strategically located between the Andes and the Amazon, administering a huge territory. The products are passing by through here, the administration and the political decisions are coming from here regarding this trade.
Jose believes Machu Picchu was an important administrative center, a hub to control the movement of goods and people, and an eastern outpost keeping tabs on the expanding empire.
The Inca roads are the vertebral spine of the empire.
These ancient highways were highly engineered, with steps cut directly into the mountains and rope bridges that stretched across perilous ravines. The Incas staggered rest stops a day's hike apart. These acted as checkpoints, keeping access to the roads under strict control. And official runners called chasqui could move between Inca sites in relays, covering over 1,000 miles on foot in less than a week. In just 100 years, the Inca Empire grew massively, building 25,000 miles of road, long enough to wrap around the whole Earth. Archaeologists believe it was the Inca Emperor Pachacuti who extended the reach of Inca influence across much of the continent.
Pachacuti is the transformer of the world, is the one that starts the expansion outside of Cusco and eventually managed to conquer a huge amount of territory, part of Ecuador, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, and Chile.
The Inca trails were key to Pachacuti's success. But without a written language, how did the emperor send messages and instructions to the farthest reaches of the empire? Some investigators now believe that these strange knotted braids are evidence of a secret Inca code. Could these frail artifacts finally unlock the secrets of Machu Picchu?
The Incas still remain one of the most mysterious civilizations in the world. They had an empire the size of the Western Roman Empire, and yet very basic things about them are a complete mystery to us.
Anthropologist Sabine Hyland is searching for a new way to uncover Machu Picchu's long-lost past.
For a long time, people thought that the Incas had no writing system. But now there's a group of us scholars that are making, I think, a lot of progress in understanding that they did have a writing system. And little by little, we're starting to decode it.
Sabine has come to Oxford University in England as part of her investigation to uncover lost Inca records.
This is amazing.
This carefully preserved bundle of string was brought here from Peru in the early 20th century. The Incas left hundreds of these mysterious objects behind. It's called a quipu, and Sabine believes the position of its many strings and knots spell out an ancient Inca code. Is this Inca writing?
You know, people would look at quipus sometimes and say, what is this? Somebody even called them an old mop head. But quipus are actually a very sophisticated system for recording information.
Sabine has spent years studying these enigmatic objects. And each new quipu she finds brings her closer to understanding them. Within minutes, Sabine spots that this is an accounting quipu.
So the Incas had a decimal system. In the hundreds, you have a single knot. That means 100. In the tens place, you have a long knot that has 9 little nubs. That means 90. And this long knot with 7 nodes represents 7, so 197.
this quipu contains numerical information. But Sabine has found other quipus with sophisticated forms of language coded into them.
Recently, I discovered two 18th century quipus in a very, very small village in the Andes. And these quipus are phonetic. Each chord represents a syllable.
Like the Rosetta Stone, which allowed archaeologists to understand Egyptian hieroglyphics, each quipu brings us closer to understanding the Incas.
One of the things that's addictive about working on quipus is it's like a detective story. It's like piecing a puzzle together. But instead of one big Rosetta Stone, we're finding lots of little mini Rosetta Stones that little by little are allowing us to understand what this code is and how it worked.
Sabine believes that quipus might shed new light on the mystery of why Machu Picchu was built.
If we could understand the quipus, it would open up to us the meaning of sites like Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu specifically, we would get a record of what actual daily activities were carried out there. And we could use that to understand how this site functioned day to day.
Machu Picchu is still one of the most iconic and mysterious sites in the world.
Machu Picchu represents all the glorious Peruvian past before the Spanish invasion.
Even today, these temples continue to reveal new surprises.
There's still an enormous amount that could be done through excavation and laboratory analysis.
Perfectly positioned in an ancient sacred region, with luxuries befitting an emperor, commanding both the Amazon and the Andes. Machu Picchu is the center of a complex landscape that's still being discovered.
Naked History is brought to you by Element 18. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a comment below and subscribe to our channel for new videos every week.